is ride out to the new Northgate Station, the new Link Sound Transit Northgate Station, way up yonder ways, north of Seattle, and then take a look at the bike infrastructure leading to the station. Because honestly, we all kind of know what the station looks like. It's where Link light rail trains come to. But the infrastructure that's around the immediate station is where it gets pretty interesting. So let's go check that out.
As you see, there's Northgate zoomed in significantly. Here's where I'm starting, rolling down the hill right now, as you see in the video. And you can barely see the bridge that I'm going to be going across, John Lewis Bridge. We'll be there in just a second. You can see one of the buses going by there, heading toward North Seattle College campus. And this is College Way North. And as you come across, it's kind of weird to get over to the path, but it's also not so bad to just go down the street. However, if college is in session, it may be jammed up with people trying to drive into the parking lot, because that's how that works. However, zooming down with a little bit of hill left, you can get up onto the bridge pretty quickly. And these first few months, if you're biking, pay attention to the pedestrians. They're not going to be paying attention to you. There's not that much cycling occurring way out here on the fringe edge of Seattle. So, you know, they're just not going to be watching for you. It's going to be up to you, just like usual, to babysit and watch out for everybody else who is completely situationally unaware of their surrounding. And here we go, getting up onto the main segment over the interstate. Down below you can see all of the lanes, including the express lanes, thoroughly underutilized at this point. And the uphill continues for quite a way to about the center of where the interstate is, and then you start the decline as the bridge turns and becomes a switchback, as you can see to the right there, as it goes down to the ground level. And then there's a mid-tier level, which I'll turn on so that we can see the gate to the entrance of the Northgate Link light rail station. You can see a train up there to the right also waiting to depart for Seattle. There's wayfinding markers on the ground, or on the floor of the bridge there, which are kind of useful. I don't know if anybody would read those, but I found it kind of curiously interesting. And there's the welcome mat and the station. There were a number of people toiling about there. You can see where we started, where I've now arrived, and then I'm going to head now, I'm going to turn, go down the rest of the switchback, and head up to First Ave over by 92nd Street. So the downhill here has the normal kind of ribbed downhill drop, which beware if you're biking, it gets a bit bumpy. It's good to not sit down when you're coming down that. And it sets you into this relatively flat area here. And this can be somewhat deceitful if you think you're just going to crank all the way up this hill, because the hill doesn't look extensive, but by the time you get to the top at 92nd Avenue, it might have whipped your ass, because it about beat me, because I didn't really pay attention and I didn't gear down, and I just kind of kept pedaling like I was going to get all the way up the hill and almost wipe myself out. But I digress. You can see where the light rail to the right cuts into solid ground right there as it begins its departure path into the tunnel that it then stays in all the way until south of downtown, down in Sodo. So not a lot of scenic views for the train from here to downtown. Once you leave Northgate, you are underground in the subway. And over to the left, you saw some buses going down, which there are a number of buses feeding into the station now, as many terminate there. And new buses have been realigned to match with this station, as well as the Roosevelt and University District station, to make it easier to make connections and to get to other locations that aren't particularly on the light rail line. As you can see, I start to putter out The light rail is now gone into the tunnel, so you don't see it at all anymore at this point. And I do see my local bus, the 40, which terminates at the Northgate Station. And that bus goes over to Ballard, all the way through Sunset Hill, etc., down to Fremont, across the Fremont Bridge, Westlake, then South Lake Union, there near the Amazon campus and all through that area, then up over to 3rd and into the city and stops over near King Street Station. It's a pretty useful bus. You should know about it. And as you can see, I've flipped around and I'm now on 1st heading north, back down that cycleway, which of course going downhill will be seconds. And I gear up to my highest gear and I begin my descent, and it gets to be a pretty rapid pace pretty quickly. Now, you may notice, if you're a cyclist, that I have gripped my bars accordingly, because the downhill gets really fast. I got up to about 25-30 miles per hour on this path. Okay, this is not roadway, this is uneven bikey path. So the reason I put my hands up there like that is to stabilize myself and ensure that I stay in control of the bike. This path, as I said, is not even. It's important to note, this is a not even path. If you go hauling ass down the path and you hit a slight bump, you'll lose control and bite it, which would very likely lead to some serious scrapes, if not outright broken bones and other assorted things, where you will then need to be taken by ambulance to some hospital and get an outrageous U.S. medical health care bill, and that would suck. But anyway, I have now arrived at the ramp, and as you can see, those rib joints there of the uphill switchback. For this part of the switchback, note, to the left, when you go around the turn, it's not done like this, which is, it always kind of confuses me. But anyway, I get up the bridge, and then I don't cut over the welcome sign this time. I just turn and continue the path, so you can kind of see the other direction and what that looks like. There you can see the travel way for the light rail over to the left and the interstate over to the right. It's always kind of, how would I put it, fascinating to be sandwiched between a garbage car sewer of a system, i.e. the interstate, and then flangey wheeled things to the left. Of course, there's a lot of spacing, so it's not that bad. And anyway, here I am, pulling up onto the bridge. And if you're curious what those little bitty booths are that seem to have a phone, if you happen to notice, that is what those are. Those are old dial-up phones, and they're an art display of some sort. If you go up to them and you roll by them, they will ring. I'm not quite sure exactly the meaning behind the art or what the purpose is. They are not functional. They just make a ringy sound. They go ring, ring, and might scare the hell out of you, as I noticed a small child being scared on one of my passes when I saw him playing with the phone, and his dad had to console him as he freaked out. Poor kid. But anyway, coming down the hill, you easily come hauling ass down this hill, and that's nice because it more easily gets you up to the point where you have to stop up here. And then you can feed off into 100th Ave or College Way, whichever way you need to go. It's also important to note, and good to know, that if you check out the bike map before you travel into this area, there are many routes to gain egress from the area. Over on 92nd Avenue where I went, there's the pea patch route, I call it, because there's a pea patch up there, which is pretty cool. And there's a number of other routes that are basically streets closed like this, where you don't have traffic. You can bike in peace, not bother other people, not have them bother you, and it is absolutely spectacular. I love it. So if you're off to the Northgate Station via bike, these are a few tidbits that I hope my little tour have provided some type of helpful use. And on that note, happy shredding the streets.